Well, hello everybody. Oh no, it's Romania Black, and I'm recording this the day after I got back from my trip. I was gone for a week with my speech team, and I feel pretty good, but my voice makes me sound like a whispering ASMR individual. So I sound like I'm an octave higher, and I want to stay on track with recordings. So here we are, but hopefully that will not impact what we're doing with our recording today for Natsume's Book of Friends, episode 9 of season 5. Last week was incredible, and I loved it, and I was here for it, and seeing Matoba and oh my god, Notori and Matoba's backstory was amazing. I kept wanting to say Natsume. So I'm really excited to get into episode 9. I know that this season has 2 more episodes, and then we're going to some OVAs, which is super exciting. But I'm really excited to dive into this. I don't have any comments yet, although I have seen the elusive fangirl has been catching up with my reactions. So if you are watching, I've seen all of your other comments that you've been placing on season 4 and early season 5 videos. I'm planning on getting those to those this week, so that should be a lot of fun. And I'll definitely be, hopefully, in episode 10, talking about some of those if there's anything that stands out to talk about. But one thing I did want to make note as I was rewatching episode 8 was that Matoba, in the scene where he's in the window and it's very come hither, is facing out the window in episode 8, and Notori is facing in the window later on when we see him asleep and Matoba finds him. So I think it's interesting that Matoba, we see him looking outward like he wants to. It's interesting because with episode 8, it's almost like Matoba wants to get out of the exorcist circle that he's kind of become inundated in, and he's sort of trapped in as being the head of the exorcists. And then in vice versa, you have Notori facing in the window because he wants to become more involved and a part of the exorcist because he feels that sense of belonging. So I thought that was really, really interesting to see kind of it. It's not really focused on, but it's a nice little visual symbolism there that you can kind of pick apart, which is really cool. So do you ever get back from a convention and you just get the hotel crud? Like Saturday, my voice was fine. Yesterday, my voice was fine. Today, I woke up and I went, eh, and I was like, oh no. And my throat doesn't hurt anymore. I think it's just all of the drainage and everything has affected my vocal cords. So it's fine. I'm going to take a break from talking after this episode and hopefully be back to full strength next week. So with that being said, we're not going to waste any more time. I'm super excited and glad that you all are watching with me. Thank you all so much for your support. But we are going to dive in to Natsume's Book of Friends, episode 9 of season 5. And we are going to do that here in 3, 2, 1, and let's go. Man, yesterday, it just started out like Saturday. I had a sore throat, and it was just sore throat. And then it was like, as we were driving back, we had a 13-hour drive back, which was just torturous. And it was like, it just rose up through my head. It went from my throat into like in between my ears, and then now to my head. And it's like, oh my gosh, crazy. But I don't feel bad. I have a little bit of a headache, but I've had that the last 2 days. And so I'm like, and it's not as bad as it has been. It's just literally my voice at this point. And I'm like, well, you know. And I think it's from coughing has probably made it that way. But I feel like every couple years I have this happen. And I've had this happen before where my voice has been raspy. And luckily it doesn't hurt. That's the good thing. It's just the coughing has made it a little agitated. But it's okay. It will not affect our love and fun that we're going to have with Natsume today. Right? Right. I believe so. Our team did very well, though. They had a lot of gold medals and silver medals and some bronze medals, and we got bronze in our division, so we were pretty proud of them. So, successful trip. And now we get to watch Natsume, so exciting. Oh, anytime it starts out with that violin music, you're just like the strings plucking. Again? These guys again? Oh no, it's a different yokai. It's not the schnoz ones. Oh my god. Get away. Oh my. What is going on, Natsume? Is your voice been taken again? Oh. Oh, shut up. We're getting another cute little yokai. A dumpling yokai. Dumpling head. Oh my god, it's adorable. Aww. I'll make you my servant. I love it. Oh my god. Oh no. Oh my god. Of the Book of Friends. Oh no, I thought they were connected. Aww. Aww. Kick him. Kick him in the head. Or punch. That works too. Natsume's getting better at punching. Aww. Aww. So cute. Stop. Why does this series have the cutest yokai? Why? Oh my god. Yes. Well, I mean. Oh my god. What? Oh. An outlaw like Scratch. Oh my god. I was wondering about that. Shuon. Oh, okay. That's the person you're trying to get to like you. Oh my god. Aww. I've been lazing around doing nothing. Oh, it's a mushroom. Oh, okay. You rude thing. Aww. Oh my god, this is so cute. Okay, the mushroom cap makes so much sense now. No! Dongo. And so I ended up helping the mushroom yokai. Of course. Yeah. The sass. Oh my god, Madara's gonna kill you. Ahem. Aww. Well, aren't you doing the same thing, Madara? Oh. Oh no! Ooh. Oh. Oh wow. Tis just a mushroom. Aw. no. Oh my God. Yeah. Oh. Oh. Oh, how cute. The cutest. I was wondering if its little mushroom cap came off, and it did. Oh. Oh my God. Stuck in the spider's web. Oh. This is like if Natsume was a yokai. Oh my goodness. Oh. Because he doesn't want to hurt anything. He's just sharing the company. Oh. Oh, I like the little mushrooms. 'Tis a fish. Oh. Super cute. That's adorable. Shut up. Oh my God. Oh. That is precious. Oh no. Wow. Mm. Like the damn elves in Lord of the Rings. Oh. Oh. Oh wow. Oh. Oh. Like a shooting star. Stop it, show. You are not going to make me emotional about a mushroom. Oh. Oh. Mm. Madara. Oh. Oh my God. Uh, wow. I think they'll find you out regardless. Oh. 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 Interesting. Ah! This soundtrack is crazy for this episode. Oh my God. You ball of fat lard. Are you noble Madara? Uh, oh. Oh no. You suck. Oh my god. Poor Natsume. Oh my god. Natsume's gonna like hurt himself helping this damn mushroom yokai. Oh my god. Oh no. There's always uses for nuts. Oh. Fool. Oh. And put it back like he did. Uh-huh. Madara, look at him. Oh my goodness. Oh, does Madara have experience with this? Yeah. Yep. Yep. And to have it happen between yokai instead of humans and yokai is interesting. Don't be thinking the same way, Natsume. Don't be getting that way. Don't be getting that way. Oh. You're not in different worlds from them, though. Oh. Uh-huh. Madara was watching. Madara was watching. He knows. He knows. Oh my god, I've seen these so much in the shows I'm watching this season. Don't worry about it. Oh. Oh. Mm-hmm. Oh, the spider lilies. Oh. Oh. Oh no. Oh. Ooh. Oh, Madara. Oh. Oh. Okay. Ah. Oh no. Madara's like, uh-oh. Oh. No, we're gonna let this play out. Madara's like, we're just gonna let this play out. But Shone wouldn't want Natsume to be sacrificed. He's not like that. That was just the other yokai talking. Oh my god. Wow. Oh. Oh my god. Oh no. Oh. Oh. Oh my god. The animation. Oh. Oh. Wow. Oh. And he would have liked that answer because he's not sacrificing anyone. Oh. Oh. That's so sad. Oh. Oh. That's so sad. Oh. Oh my god. Ah. There we go. There we go. Oh. Yes. Yes. It's like if Ghetto was a yokai. Oh my gosh. Okay. Okay. All right. I'm kind of all about that, honestly. All right. All right. I have things to say, and I'm going to gather up my voice to say them because this episode was really, really good. Oh, I really like this ED. It's so good. All right, I'm going to go make some tea and to help my throat, and then we'll talk about this. All right. Okay. Let's get down to business. Okay, well, that tea is far too hot to drink for the moment, so we're just going to let it steep for a hot second and talk about this episode until I can get myself some tea to drink. But oh my gosh! So, yeah, I even when an episode, I don't know anymore. I can't decide if Natsume episodes are filler or anime only, or if they are connected to the manga, because season 4 kind of did me in with some of the chapters I thought were anime only, and then they actually had manga chapters, and I was like, okay. So until I read the manga at the end of this season, I guess I won't know for sure. But this Natsume always manages to do a standalone episode that connects back to previous material, introduces an adorable yokai, and then gets you even more interested and intrigued about Madara and Natsume's relationship, and still manages to do it and nearly make you cry within the span of 22 minutes. I mean, what do we do about that? But yeah, so yeah. I really enjoyed this episode a lot. The mushroom who has a name, we'll get their name in a minute, but the mushroom yokai, like, what else do you want? The fact that its little cap came off and it had an even cuter face underneath. I'm just done. Done with it completely. It was so cute. I thought it was a nice callback to the yokai that attacks or is going after Natsume in the beginning. Kind of looks like the schnoz yokai that kidnapped him a few episodes ago, and kind of ties back a little bit to some of the yokai we've seen previously. So I thought that was interesting. And then whenever Natsume was like hiding his breath, trying not to breathe to let the yokai hear him, it made me think of him losing his voice to the schnoz yokai from back earlier. But I do like the fact that even though we focused a lot on the Natsume Book of Friends and how the Book of Friends is pretty integral to this season, I like having an episode where we're not, Madara mentions that Natsume had been giving away a lot of names the night before, but I liked that we had again a yokai that wasn't tied necessarily to the Book of Friends. I thought that was nice. They also set up a nice little bit of foreshadowing by having the yokai at the very end, which we'll talk about a little bit later, have him receive the training manual to get stronger. So there is that possibility that seasons down the road, we'll see this yokai again and they'll be strong enough to protect Natsume. So that would be kind of like the opportunity for a role reversal. Sounds really interesting. And I'm curious to see what they'll end up doing with that, right? But yeah, and so I just love the this sassy little mushroom yokai instantly wanting to make Natsume a servant and being so sassy was so adorable. And they went on such a character journey in this one episode alone. It was very sweet. I loved it. I liked how Natsume was so patient and kind, even though, the little mushroom yokai was being all sassy. And Natsume's getting better at punching yokai, which is good. But following a narrow path. So I liked this discussion of the narrow path because Natsume is very much on a narrow path. And what I mean by that is not necessarily following the exorcists, but Natsume is on this narrow path of trying to ride the line between being someone that is spiritually involved and can see the yokai and interact with them, but not necessarily going along with the exorcists because they got their own problems. But Natsume is trying to be both a, benefactor that is trying to connect to the yokai, but he's also trying to understand humans and the exorcist perspective as well. And so trying to be this middleman between all of the different factors around you is really hard. And it would definitely be a narrow path, as Shion talks about it in this episode. And Natsume's biggest fear is that his support network that he's had for the first time in his life is not going to be able to continue to be there for him. That him walking this narrow path is going to keep him from being able to stay with Toko and Shigure. And that part really made me sad because Natsume always doubts himself and he always puts himself down. He's the first person to help anybody else, but he's also the first person to sell himself short. And it's so frustrating for us, the audience, because we followed him for 5 seasons and we've watched him grow, but there's still that doubt. I think the doubt at this point is with Toko and Shiguru, because I think that he's come to the determination with Taki and Tanama that they're not going to leave his side. They're going to be by his side. They want to help him. They've made that explicit. And Natsume's more worried about keeping them from the exorcists because they're using, forbidden techniques and such. And they're kind of a shady group anyway. But Natsume's not so much worried about Tanama and Taki anymore. And his other friends at school, they don't know, but there's still like a comfort zone there because Tanama and Taki can kind of vouch for him. So it still works. I think the main stressor now in season 5 is Toko and Shiguru, which I've said this since season 2 or 3. I think they'd be fine if they knew about Natsume and his connection to the yokai. I don't think they would send him away. I don't think they would stop their support of him. I kind of think they know that Natsume is interacting with something that's different. And if they know about Reiko and her past, they probably are okay with it. But Natsume assumes the worst. And so he probably thinks that they're not going to accept him and that they're going to send him away because he's had that happen so many times before that he's kind of predetermined that to be the default. And I think that while they would accept him, I do think that it would be a stressor on Toko, especially because she wants to keep Natsume safe. And if she knows he's in constant danger, she's going to worry about that. But I don't think that Natsume is necessarily thinking of that angle. I think he just thinks that if they find out that he's connected with the yokai, there's always going to be that barrier and he's never going to be able to fully connect with them. And I don't think that it's as bad as he's making it out to be, but I do think it's going to bring its own troubles. So I understand why he doesn't want to let them know because he doesn't want Matoba or anybody putting them as a target. But in the same vein, I think that they would support him regardless. So it's kind of a big waiting game to see, like, when are they going to find out? Because I think they're going to find out if they don't already know. And then what are they going to do with telling Natsume about if they know or not, So it's going to be curious to see how that goes down. But that just makes me so sad because I'm like, Natsume, you've come so far and you're still doubting yourself and you still don't think that your foster parents are going to take you in. I'm like, but we all as the audience know they're going to love you regardless. That's still too hot. But yeah, so anyway, I love that the little mushroom yokai is instantly like, oh, well, I want to find Shion again, but you've scratched my beautiful cap. I thought that they came like that, but it's funny. And so Natsume's like, oh, I'm sorry. And I just love that Madara ends up coming. I love that they talk about the scar making them look like an outlaw, which is super cute. Now, Madara is interesting in this episode. Madara's been interesting in this series. throughout, especially the last couple seasons, because Madara seems to be coming to terms with the fact that they've grown really attached to Natsume, and they are constantly in this, struggle of realizing that Natsume is not going to be around forever, but then wanting to protect Natsume, but also wanting Natsume to succeed and grow on their own. So Madara is kind of going through this arc as well. And I don't know, this episode to me just reinforced the idea that Madara had some kind of relationship with Reiko. And I feel like this episode kind of hinted at that. And Madara is now facing the exact same thing again with Natsume. And it's like, what are we going to do about that? So we'll talk about it. But yeah, I like that Madara is letting Natsume go off on his own more. He's not necessarily following him around and feeling the need to protect him all the time. But he tells Natsume to leave the mushroom. And honestly, I feel like in a lot of ways, Madara is trying to protect Natsume because Madara knows that Natsume has a bleeding heart. He wants to help out every yokai that he sees. And Madara's like, you're just a glutton for punishment. You're just going to make yourself feel bad when you can't help out all these yokai and things end up being sad for them. You're going to relate that to yourself. He's like, I know how you're going to do. He's like, but maybe it's better you just let this yokai figure things out on his own. But of course, Natsume's not going to do that. That's not how Natsume functions. So I love that the mushroom's like, you rude thing. And so I talk about going to see Shion again. I had to prepare my plan. I'm going to have you help me. And thus we go to try to find ways for the mushroom to fix his cap and see Shion again. I love that he calls Madara a low-ranking yokai. And Madara's like, oh my god, I'm going to kill this guy. He's like, I was noble and alone until I met Shoun. I was saved from a dog by him. I like that when Shion saves him from the dog and the dog lets him go, immediately he's like, I did it again. He's like, animals have their own rules. And if I cannot allow them to follow them, then I still have a long way to go. I thought, in a sense, that was an interesting conversation for Natsume, because what Shion is saying in that moment, Shion is saying every group, every culture has its own rules, and it's not my place to step in and try to affect those rules or get involved. So he's saying the yokai have their own rules, the humans have their own rules, the animals have their own rules, and he's like, and I'm meddling, and that meddling is going to create responsibilities that I have to uphold. And that's kind of what Shion ends up doing in this. He saves the mushroom yokai, but then in turn, the mushroom yokai becomes obsessed with him and wants to gain his trust and follow him. And at first he's like, they shun the mushroom away, but then he's like, you know what? I kind of created this mess. If you can train and get strong enough, you can join us. And to me, the moment that Shion said that, it instantly made me think of Natsume, because Natsume is getting involved with the exorcists. He's meddling. He's getting in their affairs. He's been meddling with yokai affairs for the last 5 seasons. He's probably the least involved with humanity, but he still has had moments where he's gone from house to house and brought the yokai drama with him, like we saw in season 4. So Natsume kind of embraces what Shion repels. Shion's like, everything has its order and I don't need to mess with it. I don't need to get involved in the circle of life. And Natsume kind of flings himself headlong into it and gets himself involved in the drama. So it's interesting to see these two characters that never interact kind of have differing philosophies about that. That's really neat. I liked that a lot. So yeah, so he's like, that's how I met Shion. And the thing of it is, Shion stuck around. And the thing that got me was that Shion, kind of like Natsume, Shion does these kind gestures and then questions whether it was the right thing to do. But then we see how those kind gestures have impact on the people that see them. So for example, Shion saves the spider and puts it back in the web. And it was just such a simple little moment. Like, it didn't mean anything. It was just like, oh, this is just me doing a kind gesture. But then later on, the mushroom yokai gets mad at Natsume and like flings him away and puts the spider back in the web and is like, oh, I hope you're okay. And it's like that paying forward in that moment. It's a pay it forward moment that the mushroom yokai was just imitating what he saw. And I love when the show does show not tell moments like that, because it doesn't have to come out and tell us, oh, this good gesture this character did was paid forward and has positively impacted another character. We see it happen in time in the episode, which goes back to Natsume doing the same thing. Natsume's kindness and helping the yokai came back around when the yokai couldn't sacrifice Natsume. He was like, I can't make you an offering because you were so kind to me, and that would be cruel to do, and I don't want to be cruel because Shon's not cruel. I just loved that. Mm-hmm. And then in turn, I feel like if Shon had offered up Natsume, then Shon would have turned him away, because that's the last thing Shon wants, is to hurt something in the balance of nature. And so the fact that the mushroom yokai offered themselves rather than anything else around them, I feel like that's why the one yokai came back and offered him the training, because he's like, well, you did the right thing. You passed. Here, train yourself and you can join us. I thought that was really, really cool. I also love that Shon just had a fishing line with no hook, because they're not trying to hurt anything. They just wanted the company of the mushroom yokai, which was really sweet. There were so many cute moments in this episode with the mushroom yokai. It was kind of ridiculous. I was like, are you kidding me? It was adorable. Every little animation and gesture was the sweetest little thing. And I loved it. But yeah, the idea that Shon says everything is alive, even the stars. I feel like sometimes the exorcists forget that. Sometimes the exorcists think the yokai are just servants or beings to be subjugated, and they forget that they're living beings in a sense, like they are. So I feel like that theme kind of comes back and forth in this series a lot. But Shon and the procession of the spirits, I know they're very based in Eastern religious beliefs, so there's a connection to that. But all I could think about the whole time, because I'm from a Western environment, is reading Lord of the Rings by J.R.R. Tolkien and seeing the procession of the elves. It definitely reminded me of the procession of the elves, and they're very off limits. They're very exclusive. They go to the Grey Havens, where are places where you can't follow. Like, a lot of the themes of the elves in Lord of the Rings kind of was similar to Shon's group in a fun way. And I really liked that. So yeah. But anyway, so he ends up leaving with his crew, leaving poor Mushroom Yokai. And he's like, he was so noble a being that he saved me and called me his friend. So I feel like I have to make it up to him. Right? And I like that Madara kind of turns it down. He's like, no, you shouldn't do that. He's like, stop chasing weird dreams that are never going to happen. And he's like, well, I'm sure he'll take me with thee. If I didn't look so pathetic, he would definitely take me with him. So you're going to help me. Right, and poor Natsume. Natsume hurting his finger with the rock and everything, although he looks really good in that scene. And then him trying to, like, get the flower and falling and then fishing him out of the river. Like, it's super cute. And I love Madara's face throughout all of this. He's just not having it. He's like, it's not just his appearance that's keeping him from going. They live in different worlds. He may want to be with him, but sometimes it can't happen. Now, at this point, I feel like what Madara is talking about, Natsume kind of twists to talk about him and Shiguru and Toko. Because Madara, to me, it seemed to reflect upon Madara and Reiko and their experience. And Madara and Natsume. Like, Madara knows at the end of the day that Natsume is a human. They are a yokai. At the end of the day, Madara is going to probably outlive Natsume like they have Reiko. And Madara's like, don't get too attached, because you're in a different world from Natsume and Reiko. You're not going to be able to be with them forever. So there's always that barrier there. But I feel that Madara did look into Natsume's dreams and did see that Natsume is... The thing that's so frustrating for me about that dream sequence is that Natsume is equating him being in a different world from Toko and Shiguru. And I'm like, no, you are human just like Toko and Shiguru. You are not in a different world than them. You just don't want to let them know about aspects of your life that you think are dangerous or will worry them. But you're not in a different species or race or anything from Toko and Shiguru. You just think that you are. You've convinced yourself that you are. You've convinced yourself that because you can see and interact with yokai, you are separate from other parts of humanity, but you're really not. It's very psychoschematic. And I feel like Madara's like, what good would it do for me to tell you that? Because I'm a yokai. What do I know? Right? There is a part of me that just wants them to figure out that Natsume can see the yokai and let him know. But then there's another part about me that worries Natsume will be even more scared about that. So What do we do? The Akebia fruit has been in literally 3 other shows I've watched on this channel in the last 6 months, and it's kind of crazy. I keep seeing this Akebia fruit. Apparently, it's pretty prevalent in Japan or in Eastern cultures because I keep on seeing it, but it looks so weird. I don't know if I would want to eat it. It looks to me kind of like if you ever see raw cocoa beans, they don't look like chocolate. They look kind of like the Akebia fruit. They're in this like weird kind of casing and they have like a slimy texture to them. They're very different than what you would think they would be. So I'm like, okay. So I don't know. It's weird. But yeah. Madara tries to stick up for Natsume and says he hasn't slept much last night, so we probably need to leave him alone. But the little mushroom yokai leaves him the Akebia fruit that's supposedly very sweet and runs off to go get ready. And then while they're getting ready, the yokai that Madara also sees the mushroom yokai interacting with tells that if they make an offering, especially a human, they may get a wish granted. And so Madara, looking around, says it'll be good medicine for him once in a while. So he's talking about Natsume there. I think Madara thought that the yokai was going to offer up Natsume as an offering, and the procession was going to say no. But I think Madara was trying to get Natsume to learn a lesson, but then I think even Madara ends up being surprised by the yokai ending up not sacrificing him because he can't do it to someone that's nice to him. Showing that maybe even Madara can learn some new things over the course of this. But yeah, the little flowers on them and such is so cute, saying I'll learn perspective tricks to fit in. It's interesting to see even Madara kind of being reverent of the spirits and being like, oh wow, these are actually the real deal. And the animation of the two that look around to him, the shadows and the lighting was really good. Like they looked very intimidating. I was like, oh, okay. And then finally, the little mushroom's like, I don't have anything to offer, but I just wanted to come along because my life was saved by them. And they take the little mushroom cap off. They're so cute. And then, yeah, what's his name there? Mitsuzara Dono. He says, our path is a narrow one, and I cannot take you with me, so return home. And it's watching the little yokai cry was so sad. And Natsume saying, like, sometimes our wishes don't come true, and your heart will continue to wave forever. Which sounds so kind of negative and defeatist a little bit. I mean, very melancholy, if anything. But I feel like Natsume's like, sometimes we don't get what we want. And sometimes it's kind of futile, and you just have to deal with the sadness. But the yokai kind of flips that on its head for Natsume and says, I was turned down, but you know what? I love Shion, and I want to be with him. So I guess I'm just going to keep trying. I'm going to keep trying and get stronger, and that's all I can do. Like, I'm just going to train to become stronger. Even if we live in different worlds, I want to struggle to get closer to him, and I want to try to be worthy to being by his side. That spoke volumes to me, because that's literally the thesis of what Notori has told Natsume to do, what Natsume has decided to do, despite Natsume's nightmare where he thinks that Shiguru and Toko aren't going to be able to be by him. Natsume's still going to try, even if he can't meet up to the expectations they want, even if he can't fully solve all the problems with the yokai and the exorcists. Natsume's like, I want to keep trying to keep pushing myself further and see if I can make it to where I can be with Toko and Shiguru for as long as I can be. And that message was so good. That was just, I feel like, what Natsume needed to hear, because Natsume's like, oh, instead of being defeated and feeling like there's no hope, you just have to keep trying and you have to keep struggling, because if it's worth it, the struggle is worth it. If you think that Toko and Shiguru are worth being their child, then the struggle is going to matter at the end of the day. And I love that the mushroom's conviction and resolve allowed for the party member that looks like Geto from Jujutsu Kaisen in the priest robes to show up, even with the gauges, to show up and offer the training manual and say, fine, you want to take the hard road, the narrow path? Here's what you got to do. Here's your training. And to me, it kind of felt like the training manual that the mushroom yokai is using is kind of like the Book of Friends. Natsume has to go through the Book of Friends to get to the end of the tunnel. And this yokai now has to go through the training book to get to the end of the tunnel. So it's like, I loved it. I thought it was so good. I thought it was such a good message about how some things, even though they are difficult, are worth trying. And when Natsume tries to help the yokai's like, no, I got this. Don't you worry, I got this. I'm good. That was so sweet. They're like, I'm going to train. I don't need your help. I'm going to train to be stronger. I'm sure I can do it. I love that. I love it so much. And it's such a good lesson for Natsume that, even if things seem impossible, you got to keep trying. You got to keep struggling because they're worth it. If they're worth it for you, then it's worth the struggle. That was an adorable episode. Super cute. I love the focus on Madara and the relationship with Natsume. I love this about Natsume's themes. It was great. Wonderful. Beautiful. So, yeah, I'm sorry my voice was cutting out throughout this. I'm sorry my voice is like bleh. Hopefully, I get some rest. I drink some tea, and it will get better in a couple days, and I can get back to normal. But this episode was such a wonderful thing to watch as soon as I got back from my trip. I needed this. I needed Natsume in my life, right? So, with that being said, I'm very excited for episode 10. We're almost to the end of season 5, which is wild to me. But in any case, I'm excited. I hope you all are as well. But I hope you all have some wonderful comments down below. Thank you all for your support. Have a safe week. Please stay safe. Take care. And I'll be back next week with episode 10 of season 5, the penultimate episode of season 5 of Natsume's Book of Friends. Bye.